All right. Well, welcome everyone to the January meeting of TV Toastmasters, which will be shown in February. So we should all be thinking about Valentine's and hearts and all that kind of good stuff. Candy, all that good thing. I would like to introduce our Toastmaster for today. She is the Area 57 Governor, and she's also the Vice President of Education for TV Toastmasters and also the Sergeant at Arms for Talk Toastmasters. Carol Kormelink. Carol.
Mr. President, I'm the Toastmaster. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, our welcome guests, and our viewing audience. What a great Toastmaster morning. We didn't get 6 inches of snow, but the roads are all clear. It's beautiful. The trees have all the white and it looks cozy. So my role as Toastmaster is to be a hostess for the morning, and it's to introduce the speakers in a manner that will make you want to listen to them. So the next role that we have this morning will be handled by Rick Davis, who is the president of TV Toastmasters, and his role has several parts. He is our grammarian, our awe counter, and our word power. Rick is a scientist at NIOSH in health sciences. He deals with ears and hearing, and he's going to put that knowledge to good use this morning in his 3-part role. Rick will explain his role more fully when he comes to the lectern, so when he gives us our word for the day. So let's welcome Rick Davis.
Carol. Well, I forgot my word of the day, so I'm going to use a word that I've come to learn about and love, chaos. And if you've ever been to a TV Toastmaster meeting, you understand chaos. So chaos, you should try to use it. You should try to use it in your presentation. Try to use it in your table topics. In addition to that, I'll be the grammarian and the awe counter, so I'll be counting any awes or any kind of crutches, verbal crutches that anyone uses along the way, and we'll try to reduce our use of the verbal crutch. Carol.
Thank you, Rick. Yes, we actually, I don't think it's too chaotic, but that is a good word to use, and we'll use it all that we can today and increase our vocabulary. Our next role is that of joke master. Verna Gibson is a competent Toastmaster, and she says that you have to have a sense of humor if you're going to be teaching school children today. So Verna is president of the Clearly Speaking Toastmasters in Batavia, and she will give us our joke for the day. Let us welcome Verna.
Madam Toastmaster. One day, this poor old tramp was walking along a country road when he heard a cry for help. He looked off to his right, and he saw that a young girl was drowning in a pond. So naturally, he jumped into the pond and saved her. He happened to be a very good swimmer. As it turned out, this girl's father was a multimillionaire, so of course he offered this tramp anything that he would want as a reward. Well, what he really wanted, what he had always wanted, said, "Sir, what I would like is a cruise on a first-class ocean liner." Of course, you have it. So within a week, this poor old tramp found himself on a first-class ocean liner. And besides being a very good swimmer, he also happened to be an excellent diver. So every day he would go out to the pool, get up on the diving board, and do his dives. He did backflips, he did front flips, he did side flips, triple flips, any kind of flips that you could think of, he was able to do them. The people just started standing around or sitting around this pool watching him dive. They didn't even swim. So the captain decided that what he would do is to build a high diving board. Well, this was a high diving board. High. It was very, very high. So the day that this diving board was finished, the old man came out and he climbed up the ladder to this diving board. It took him a long time to climb the ladder because it was so high. By the time he got to the top, he could just barely see the ship way down in the distance. But he came off of that diving board, perfect dive. He did front flips, he did back flips, he did side flips, triple flips, all kinds of flips. He had a lot of time to do any kind of flip that he wanted to do. He had plenty of time because this was such a high diving board. And it was a perfect dive. He hit the water. It was such a good dive that he didn't even make a ripple. But he kept going. He went down through the first floor. He went down through the second floor. He went through the dining rooms. He went through the crew quarters, came out through the bottom of the ship and swam up to the surface. Of course, the captain saved him and brought him back on the ship, and he said, "Sir, that was a wonderful dive, but I can't understand how you could come out through the bottom, go through the bottom of the ship and not even be hurt." He said, "Well, sir, you got to understand, I'm a poor man and I've been through a lot of hardship in my day." Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Verna, for your humor.
I knew there was a punchline.
Yeah, there was a punchline. Thank you very much. The theme for today's meeting is insanity, and that's great, Rick, that you picked a word that would chaos just fits right in there. And one definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I'm filling several roles today. My role as a Tabletopics Master is one of my favorite parts of the meeting. That's where you learn to think quickly and speak effectively with only a moment's notice about the topic. I have 52 cards on silly things to do when you are blue. So the Tabletopics participant today will come up, pick a card, and tell us how insane, how sensible this idea is and how they would react to the thought on here. Our first Tabletopics participant, Steve. Would you please come up? Steve Ehrenholtz is an Advanced Toastmaster Bronze, and he will pick a card and tell us about it. Steve Ehrenholtz. Pick a card.
Okay.
I think you have seveble.
Oh, all right. Yes, I do.
You have your choice of.
No, I think I like
Okay.
this one. Thank you, Madam Tabletopics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests. Do you want me to read this off?
Mhm.
It says, feed somebody. Make a bunch of sandwiches, pack them in bags, and offer them to homeless people you walk or drive by during the week. Another way to give of yourself is to serve a meal at food kitchen in your neighborhood. Call around to see which program is in need of volunteers. The Salvation Army is a good place to phone for the addresses of kitchens around town. Do you want me to elaborate on why I think this is a good activity to keep you from being blue? Actually, this is an excellent opportunity to make yourself feel better, and you do it in such a way that you get something, but the people that you're working with as well get quite a lot. I went down to the Over the Rhine First English Lutheran Church soup kitchen the day before Thanksgiving. They traditionally do a Thanksgiving dinner for the folks down there on Wednesday. We went down there. I was in the line that's slinging hash. Actually, they had turkey and stuffing. And you had people coming through wishing you a happy Thanksgiving, thanking you for what you were providing that afternoon for them. And I found for myself that my thoughts were, I really have a lot to be thankful for because I have food to eat all the time. I don't have to wonder where my next meal's coming from. And yet these people were so gracious that you were doing something for them. And I think the other thing about it that really makes a person feel better, you're not getting anything as far as compensation for doing this. It's your time. You're volunteering to do this. You're giving of yourself. It takes your mind off of yourself. Madam Tabletopics Master?
Thank you, Steve. That was great. We have a guest today, and our next participant, Nikki Bishop. If you would please pick a card and tell us what you think about this card. Let's hear it for Nikki. Anyone? Oops. Oh, wait a minute, that's kind of like the same thing, I think it says.
You can tell I'm an expert at cards, can't you?
Yeah.
There.
It says print something, paint something. I'm all flustered. What am I to do, Carol?
You read the card and tell us whether that is a great idea or a stupid idea.
Paint something. Take a risk and paint a wall an unusual color. If you don't have a wall available, think of a piece of furniture that would benefit from a new paint job. Surrounding yourself with and playing with color can be very uplifting. Live dangerously and paint a chair turquoise. All right. I will say that I had a bedroom that was painted very darkly at one time, and I loved it. But I decided to give it a fresh paint job. Gave it a light, I think it was a light yellow effect, and it was amazing how well I could see. Words I had missed before all of a sudden became very apparent. So I would probably paint my bedroom a light color.
Thank you, Nikki. Okay, there's 52 silly things to do when you're blue, and the one that I thought was fairly interesting, if you don't already know, find out where the fountains in your town are and drag a pocket full of pennies to at least 5 of them. Hotels, public plazas often have fountains, as do the shopping malls, and you think of a different wish with each penny. And you bring extra pennies to give to other people, and I thought, that's kind of different. That's unusual. So that's the table topics that we think quickly and speak effectively.
Thank you very much. And now for our next speaker, Stanley Glitchner.
Speaking in public doesn't have to be a death sentence. At Toastmasters, we can help you overcome your fears.
The Toastmaster activities help people overcome their fear of speaking up in public. And before joining Toastmasters, most people would rather die than get up in front of anyone to give a speech. But as we gain experience in Toastmasters, we learn that, hey, I'd rather be the guy out here giving the eulogy than the guy over there in the casket. So we're fortunate to have the newest member of our TV Toastmasters, Russ Knowling, present a prepared speech from an advanced manual, The Entertaining Speaker. The objectives for speech project number 5, Speaking After Dinner, are to prepare an entertaining after-dinner talk on a specific theme, deliver the talk extemporaneously, using the skills developed in the preceding entertainment projects, and the time is about 13 minutes. Russ's speech on democracy will be evaluated by Joe Swirling, who is an advanced Toastmaster Bronze. Now, what do Russ Knowling and a Kiwi have in common? Russ was born in New Zealand, and the Kiwi is the national bird of New Zealand. You might say that Russ has come full circle in his career. He taught school internationally for 13 years. Then he switched to a chiropractic career, practicing in Florida for 15 years before he moved to Cincinnati. And now he's come full circle. After he retired, he teaches. He's a moderator for the Institute for Learning and Retirement at a part of University of Cincinnati, the ILR. His home is in Northern Hills, and let's turn our attention to Russ Knowling, Democracy. Democracy, Russ Knowling.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Madam Toastmaster, welcome guests and fellow Toastmasters, and also early morning insomniacs. My talk today is on democracy. I give a talk on Canada, And so let's have a look at the map of Canada here. Can you see it all? This is over in the east side. Canada, 6 time zones, 3 oceans, the Atlantic, the Arctic Ocean, and the Pacific. And it has a bunch of provinces, but there is a democratic principle in Canada that I want to talk to you about. Now, most people are very familiar with American politics, so let's have a look at what we have in American politics and go from the known to the unknown. In the United States of America, we have the head of state is the president and political leader, and there's a change every 4 years. The president has just had a bump in salary. He's up to $400,000 a year. Nothing compared with the guy that runs Disney or Enron, is it? Vice president makes $186,000. The minority leaders, congressmen, make $150,000 a year. And it's amazing how they can retire as multimillionaires. It's all those speaking engagements and all those directorships. We have senators, 100 of them elected from all the 50 states. We have 350 congressmen, and the cabinet is appointed by the president from all of America. Population is 260 million. Okay, let's move on to Canada. Canada has a head of state that is the Queen, represented by someone called the Governor General. In this case, it's a lady called Adrienne Clarkson. She's a former TV personality, and she's also an author. And she is in office for 5 years, and she stands in for the Queen. When the Queen comes, she gets out of the throne. Okay? Prime Minister of Canada makes $260,000 a year. That's 63 cents on the US dollar, so it's not a lot of money. The cabinet ministers make $195,000, and this is really interesting. Remember, in the US, the cabinet is appointed by the president. The cabinet ministers are appointed by the prime minister, but they have to be elected officials from the House of Representatives, the House of Parliament. Senators, they make $105,000 in Canada, and they're senators until age 75, and they are appointed. They're usually political hacks or someone that has had a political life in the area that they are representing from Canada. In the big provinces of Quebec and Ontario, there's 24, and they're usually chosen from the various regions within the province. Senators are 104, and they are appointed. Members of Parliament are elected by the democratic process, and there's 301 of them in the Houses of Parliament. Population of Canada is 30 million. So that's quite a high representation. Let me give you a picture of the Governor General of Canada, an amazing lady. Adrienne Clarkson, born in Hong Kong, came to Canada in 1959, obtained her BA, Honours BA and MA in English from the University of Toronto. And she has an official residence in Canada. Let me show it to you here. It is where all the official events take place, like investitures and meeting heads of state from other, oh my goodness, I've got that round the wrong way. There we are. The symbol of Canada there, 3 Mounties, going to get their man, okay? This is a place called Rideau Hall. It is, when you think of West Wing, the White House is many things in the whole U.S. government. But here it's separated. The symbolic part of Canadian politics is represented here. The Queen would stay in this place. The Governor General lives here when she's in Ottawa, the capital. And this is where they would have state banquets and investitures and so on, Rideau Hall. Now, let's move on to the next part of our person. This is the Prime Minister of Canada, the Right Honourable Jean Chrétien, a Liberal from Quebec. It seems that in the last few years, all the Prime Ministers of Canada have come from Quebec. Pierre Elliott Trudeau, followed by Brian Mulroney, who is an English-speaking Quebecois, well, was raised Irish originally, but obviously English-speaking, but very bilingual. And Jean Chrétien from Quebec is also bilingual. Now, he has a very unprepossessing house, in my opinion, compared with the White House. Remember, these are the residences of the Prime Minister. This is a residence called number 24 Sussex Drive, and this is where the Prime Minister of Canada lives, in Ottawa. Like anything you'd see over in Indian Hills, isn't it? I don't think it has a cabinet room. It's really a private residence. If they want to meet anywhere, it would be in the offices in the Houses of Parliament. So, we have these instances here. Now, let's have another look at the parts of Canada that make it different to the U.S. Let's have a look at the House of Commons here. This is modeled on the House of Commons. Where is it? Here it is. The chamber of the House of Commons. The Speaker sits in a throne here, and the government always sits, the party in power always sits on the right hand of the Speaker of the Speaker of the House. That's right. Notice how there are desks, and it's in two sides. This is the opposition party, and this would be the government. Now, think back to Washington, the House of Representatives, and the Senate. Think of the shape of the chamber. Can anyone give me a suggestion as to what the shape is of the chamber? Semicircle, that's right. You see, here it's very adversarial. The government is always being questioned by the opposition. But in the U.S. House of Representatives, it's semicircular. Everyone's sort of facing the Speaker and kind of going in one direction. Here they're fighting and bickering amongst each other, and it's really interesting to listen to the question series. You can sometimes pick up the British question period in the British Parliament from the Houses of Parliament in London. Now let's have a look at the Senate chamber. 104 senators appointed till age 75, getting an income of $105,000. Again, this is kind of like the House of Lords in England. It really has no significant power except it's a second opinion. Those of you that have insurance these days know that your insurance company, your HMO, wants you to go for a second opinion. These are the guys that give the second opinion in government. And I've got to tell you, there's always one character anywhere that doesn't follow the rules. Okay? There's one senator from the Senate chamber here that has decided that after living in politics in Ottawa for many years, he's having nothing to do with it. Now, I know about Ottawa because my in-laws were from Ottawa, and they can get more snow than Moscow. The temperatures are lower than Moscow, and I, as a dutiful son-in-law, have shoveled many a walk when it can be about 7 feet tall. So I can understand why this guy said, I'm not living in Ottawa, I'm moving to Mexico. And he's lived in Mexico for 9 years. They can't do a thing about it till he's age 75, then they can toss him onto the retirement schedule. So this is the Senate of the Parliament of Canada. Okay, let's have a look at some of the other things that are quite different about the Canadian system here. One of the interesting things about Canada when I'm giving my class is how French and English came about. And this is a very abbreviated timeline, and it cuts off at 1962. But we have to look at the development of Canada. John Cabot discovered the east coast of Canada for Henry VII in 1497. Columbus beat him by 5 years. He was sent over by the King of England, and he was actually an Italian, Giuseppe Cabotini, but he changed his name to John Cabot because he wanted to be anglicized. Cartier was the Frenchman that discovered the Gulf of St. Lawrence, and the story is that he discovered the Gulf of St. Lawrence on the day, the Saints' Day, that was close to that period of time when he actually came ashore. Champlain, another Frenchman, set up a colony at the mouth of the St. Croix River in New Brunswick. And that was all part of the French colony there. And we have to remember that at that time, the Ohio Valley was part of Quebec because there wasn't a separation yet with the Revolutionary War. Notice I called it the Revolutionary War. I'm taking the Canadian point of view. Revolutionary War, War of Independence, right? The Champlain founded the city of Quebec. 1642, French settlers founded Montreal. And in 1689 to 1763, there were a series of wars where British captured Quebec and conquered New France. And if any of you have been to Quebec City, there's a very tall section above the river called the Plains of Abraham, and that's where the battle took place. And there's a wonderful novel that you can read called No Great Mischief by Alistair MacLeod, a Canadian. And he is of Scotch origin, and many of the people in Canada were very poor Scots that came over to have a look at to have another chance at life. So he sent Wolfe, the British general, sent the Scots up there, and his reasoning was, well, it's no great mischief if they get killed off. They're only Scots people. But it's a great story, and you would enjoy it. Anyway, we come down here, and we have the Quebec Act. And this is very significant in Canadian culture, because that is when the French were given the chance to maintain their culture and their language. And today, there is the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, runs television and radio services in French and in English, so that the French can follow up on that. And in Quebec, they have the Napoleonic system of law too. And so that's why in Canada, you have two different school boards everywhere. You have what we call a separate school board, which is usually run by the Roman Catholic Church, and it will teach French, and your taxes can go to either one, the regular school board or the separate school board. So what I wanted to show you is that Canada, our neighbor to the north, our benign neighbor to the north, there hasn't been any problems with Canada since 1812. The British did sack the White House, but that's all been very congenial ever since that. But it's a great place to visit. It has a different culture, and I hope I've been able to explain some of this to you. Madam Toastmaster.
I'd like to begin tonight with a little joke. This guy, he's a farmer, and he says, hey, hello, sorry. But seriously, folks.
Speaking in public is no joke.
Farmer says, doctor says, chicken says.
For help, call Toastmasters, the public speaking support group.
The chicken.
The educational training today is directed by General Evaluator Joe Swirling from Fort Thomas, Kentucky. We call Joe Mr. Toastmaster because of his dedication to Toastmasters. You'll see his van around town and it says, join Toastmasters, call me, ask me about it. Joe will explain his evaluator role more thoroughly as he chairs the next portion of the meeting. Let's welcome Joe Swirling, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As General Evaluator, I will later be giving an overall evaluation of our meeting. One aspect that we may be working into in the future is an evaluation of individual table topics, because that gives additional feedback besides evaluations of the speakers themselves. But in this case, since we just had two table topics presentations, and one of them was quite startled, I'll forgo that for today. But I would like to point out that I think that the technique that Carol used it just illustrates that there's a million and one ways of coming up with an impromptu question for the members and for everyone that participates and observes to learn how to handle unexpected situations where you're asked an unexpected question. and you worked in a lot of humor in with it. Very good. Not at all chaotic. I'm also the evaluator for Russ, so I'll get right into that. Russ's presentation today was from the Entertaining Speaker Manual, which is an advanced manual that Toastmasters follow after giving the first 10 speeches of a basic nature, each concentrating on different aspects of verbal and visual and organizational and presentation skills. This particular one is speaking after dinner. The evaluation guide indicates that it says the purpose of the talk was for the speaker to prepare an after-dinner speech of 13 to 15 minutes, delivered extemporaneously. The speaker should entertain the audience by weaving jokes and/or dramatic stories around a recognizable theme. Sequence of points should be easy to follow, with overall effect lighthearted and relaxed. And I think you accomplished all that to the extent that obviously you had the basic topic was a basic explanation of first the geography, the people and their political structure and how it's developed. I think you demonstrated the extemporaneous part very well, in that you obviously didn't have the slides already in a specific sequence, which is why you had to flip through them. So it's a positive and a negative. It shows that it wasn't overly scripted, but it maintained. You were able to continue your explanations about your subject with humorous remarks, all of which kept the audience's attention all the way through it. So there again, to that extent, I think you did very well in combining humor with keeping an audience interested after dinner and giving useful information. Thank you very much, Russ. And at this point, I'd like to call Rick Davis, the grammarian, counter, for his report.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you, Joe. We did very well today. Steve, during his table topic, did what I call a long and. You sort of think while you're and. That was about the only thing I picked up there. Nikki, no ands, buts, or so's. Russ, 2 ands during your speech, speaking after dinner speech. Joe used a word of the day, chaotic. He also had to start over in the middle of extemporaneous, so that was okay. And then you corrected yourself on the use of good and well, which was good because you were using good in the wrong way, wrong sense. There was 1 and in there. Other than that, everybody did a great job, and I really had a lot of trouble picking up any crutches today. So, Joe?
Thank you, Rick. And at this point, I'll call Steve back for his timer's report on how well our timing went today. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, our honored guests, and our folks that are watching in. My timing report today is all over the place. For table topics, my presentation was 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Nikki's was 1 minute and 3 seconds. The objective in table topics is to speak between 1 minute and 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Carol's introduction for Russ Knowling's speech was 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Russ's prepared presentation was 12 minutes and 41 seconds. His objective was to come in somewhere between 11 and 13 minutes, so he did real well. Joe Schwerling's introduction as general evaluator and also his evaluation of Russ's speech, because I really couldn't separate the two. You kind of went from one to the other, and I was already timing the first part of your presentation. Your overall time was 3 minutes and 57 seconds. Rick's presentation of his perceptions being the role of general evaluator and counter was 48 seconds. And I will find out what my time is as soon as I sit down. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Steve. And I'll conclude just with an explanation that is the general evaluation of the meeting, and the purpose of our meeting is to give everyone a chance for impromptu speaking, organized speeches, and feedback provided by an evaluator so we may constantly be improving. And the best we can all improve the most is with more Toastmasters. We'd have more speeches, have longer presentations on the cable TV system, and we hope to see some of you all in the audience at future meetings. But I think the meeting went quite well. Again, the more participants you have, the better. So as the club grows, we'll have more speakers and more evaluators, and more of those unexpected, chaotic table topics questions. At this point, I'll return control to the Toastmaster, and I was going to make some reference to the chaotic nature of the color of her outfit, but she's very vivacious and keeping us all on track.
Thank you, Joe, for the general evaluation here. I'd say there were only a few parts of the meeting that could be called chaotic when we were moving from one place to the other, but other than that, I think we had a great meeting. I enjoyed it. We learned a lot. I didn't know about Canada, and I thought that was great. And I would like to thank everyone for being here today and our viewing public. And let's return control of the meeting to Rick Davis, the president.
All the education in the world won't help you get ahead in life if you can't express your ideas effectively. Every day, competition for advancement gets tougher and tougher. You need an edge. A Toastmasters Club can give you that edge. A low-cost learning experience for men and women. Toastmasters gives you the confidence to express your ideas to anyone. Get the Toastmasters edge.
I would like to thank our guests today, Nikki Bishop and Kim Fetzer. And of course, one of the things that we like to do is get comments from our guests. Are you up to coming up here and saying a few words? So this is Nikki Bishop.
Thank you, Rick. I will simply say that it has been a very unique, interesting experience. I've enjoyed meeting everyone here. It's been a real exciting time, and I look forward to meeting each one of you again.
Kim, would you like to say something? No? Okay. Our next meeting is February 16th. We have a tentative schedule. Please take a look at the schedule. Check with Carol if you cannot make it that day or if you would like to fill in for some of the spots where there are question marks. And we will see you all in February for our March program. Thank you.
What future do you envision for yourself? What dreams do you have? If you want your dreams to come true, you must have confidence in yourself and your abilities. A Toastmasters Club can help you build that confidence. A low-cost learning experience for men and women. Toastmasters shows you how to express yourself clearly and effectively. Make your dreams a reality. Join a Toastmasters Club.